Welcome all to the Fantasy Shot Callers.
Hey, how you doing? We're here for another segment of the Fantasy Shot Callers Live. I'm Ben Dunna. That's JT. We are the Fantasy Juggernauts. We do it so you can do it, so we can all win some money. Week 3 is in the books. What's your biggest takeaway from week 3?
That you take the safest guy in round 1 and just hope he's healthy.
Yeah. So breaking, Joe Mixon's questionable tag has been taken off. They say that he is not going into Thursday night's game with a mark. He has a clean bill of slates. He's a slate build. And so if any of you picked up Samaje Perine like I did on all my fucking teams, it was a waste. Good luck for you.
I think though that's an interesting case moving forward, that we should monitor running backs on Sundays that have a Thursday game following up, because if we see through week 1 through week 3, we're starting to see it become a trend where we're seeing their workloads reduced on Sunday. So just something to be mindful of and not to overreact to. But Mixon's good to go. I hate Samaje Perine, even though I probably roster him on like 70% of my rosters.
I mean, he's just a handcuff that you got to handcuff.
Is that what you
I
told
guess,
me last night?
Yeah, baby girl, thank you. Samaje Penile.
Oh,
Penile.
No erection.
Penile and
no
denial.
erection.
Erection of none, de Maji say. It's the new Kama Sutra. So I guess this is the first time I shall say this. Actually, it may be the second time. David Montgomery. Yeah, I'm gonna take that L. Khalil Herbert. We'll see if he's the real deal or not after just 1 week. He's looking pretty good. So, throw all that shade in the comments if you want, because I was really high on Montgomery, and now who knows when he will be back. That's not saying drop him or anything like that. But yeah, my bad. You win some, you lose some. But Jalen Hurts, who I've been talking about even longer than him, is quarterback 3 on the year.
There we go. I mean, in terms of Montgomery, he's just had bad matchups, and unfortunately, he got hurt in the first one. He got Herbert against the Giants coming up this week, and while the Bears probably don't have the same O-line that the Cowboys do, Giants are going to be coming off a shorter week. Pollard and Zeke did put up some good yards. I think they totaled over 140, 150. So that is a plus matchup for Herbert, especially when he's going to get 25 carries, because Fields is throwing the ball in the teens. I mean, he's throwing the ball like 15 times a game. So the opportunity should be there.
Yeah.
I think he's my number 1 waiver wire guy as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. If he listen to this, though. So in the live Las Vegas League, I dropped Khalil Herbert for Tyler Conklin. Great move. I really did well on that one.
Sad boy hours.
I'm not frozen, just contemplating my life.
Frozen.
Yeah. Tyler Conklin did do well for me last week, 16 points. But from a little birdie, if you tuned in yesterday, you already know this. But the love affair between Zach Wilson and Jay Uzoma is like a little bed and breakfast, like Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. They are they live next to each other. They love each other. And just, we all know CJ Uzoma keeps his mom away from Zach Wilson. Nevertheless, moving forward, let's see. That's week 2. Yeah, so Zach Wilson is back. I know you've talked about the downgrade of Michael Carter, but is this an Elijah Moore upgrade with Zach back?
You would hope so. I mean, he was getting heavy pub with the connection between him and Zach throughout training camp. It can't get much worse for Elijah Moore, and I think some of that's kind of outside of his control. Garrett Wilson has just been he was a revelation. It all comes down to your evaluation of Zach Wilson. If you think Zach Wilson's better than Joe Flacco, I don't think the passing attempts are going to go down. I am personally, as a recovering Jets fan, not a fan of Zach Wilson. He was the nail in the coffin for me. I don't see it. I think he just doesn't take the gimmies. And maybe a year later he'll take them. But this is a Jets team that's going to be playing behind more often than not. They get the Steelers this week. We saw Amari Cooper go off. You can't drop Elijah just yet, but it's getting you're getting kind of itchy there.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a telltale week. Like you said, Amari Cooper went off last week. David Njoku had a ballin' of a game. Who was another cool waiver wire to look at this week too. If you were streaming tight ends, he's definitely, I think he gets targeted a lot more, and his schedule is very favorable going forward. So
I don't feel confident. Mike Tomlin has 10 days to prepare for what is essentially a rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson. I'm not expecting T-Law results here.
Yeah, I mean, coming off an injury too, I guarantee you with TJ Watt, they run the ball a lot. So for this game, I could see Michael Carter getting more play than Elijah Moore, unless Elijah gets one of those Rashad Bateman-esque big plays that we saw early on in the season from a fellow second-year man. Moving across the pond, Brady, is he going to have a bounce-back week with Mike Evans and possibly Julio Jones back, or is he still regressing?
Well, I mean, I think the bigger thing is going to be, are they going to play this game in Tampa? What's the weather going to be like? Because rumor is the backup plan is they'll move to Minnesota, which means they'll be indoors. Typically, being indoors means more points. The added travel is probably non-ideal for a 45-year-old quarterback, but I think Brady's been on a trip before. I'm pretty sure he flies private. You are almost rooting for that game to be in Minnesota because Brady indoors, his numbers are great. Outside of if he's playing New Orleans, I think KC's defense is exploitable. And it gives him another week with getting familiar with his targets and also getting your number one guy back in Mike Evans. So if you're a Brady owner, you're almost hoping it's in Minnesota. Yes, he is startable this week against Kansas City. And if you listen to us, you heard it from me. He was a bench guy for week 2 and week 3, and I didn't like him against the Cowboys either. So you got to put Tom Brady aside sometimes.
Yes, sir. I have an offer for Aaron Jones. He has AJ Brown and Adams. Do I make the trade with A Jones and Robinson and for age? Okay, so Aaron Jones and Robinson for AJ and Adams. So basically, you're swapping 2 running backs for 2 wide receivers.
1 second.
Okay. Well, from my aspect, you have AJ Brown, that's gonna be competing with targets from Devonte Smith that like we've seen over the past 2 weeks. Maybe if Dallas Goedert is out this next week because he does have a questionable tag, AJ Brown could see a lot more volume. Devonte Adams, we saw last week. I think there's no one like Aaron Rodgers and how he feeds the ball to one wide receiver, and he gets it to them every time. Derek Carr likes to feed one wide receiver a game, and that's about it. But he changes the wide receivers each game. So what you're doing here is swapping an RB1 and an RB2 basically for 2 wide receiver ones. It kind of depends if you have any more depth than running back.
I mean, it's going to come down to settings. I'm going to assume this is redraft, full PPR. And Jones is coming off a down week. He had a bad matchup with Tampa. I don't think it's enough for an overreaction. I think he's an RB1 the rest of the year. J-Rob right now is like RB2 on the year or RB3 in PPR formats. I do expect regression there. And AJ Brown and Devonte Adams are both top 6 plays for me every single week in full PPR. So I think it's a good sell high. It just depends on how many are you starting. Do you start 2 or 3 wide receivers? Is there one flex spot? If the more that you start, the more slots that you have to start, I like the wide receiver side. In terms, and then it's always scary to send out that much RB depth. But you gotta take chances. And right now, if you can get AJ Brown and Devonte Adams in one lineup, that's really strong. That's a strong play for those 2 players.
One running back and one wide receiver.
So it's 2-2-1, kind of a standard kind of play. I mean, who are your current receivers? How much of an upgrade is Devonte? You have Allen Robinson. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, it'll come down to, who are your starting receivers now and who are you replacing? Because you're kind of playing a whole lineup switch. You're basically switching your entire lineup. So that's what it's going to come. It'll come down to your bench. That's how you're going to make that. Because like if you have Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson already, no, you don't make that trade because who are you going to start?
So he doesn't have 2 running backs and 2 receivers. That's a different trade. He has 1 running back and 1 wide receiver.
You only start 1 and 1? I don't understand.
I guess.
Then I guess I'm keepy.
Oh no! Come on. He has Julio, Cooper, Zay Jones, and Hill as wide receivers.
He has Tyreek and Amari Cooper right now are in his 2 starting slots. That would move Tyreek. So you're starting Tyreek, Devonte, and AJ Brown. That covers your flex. Then you got to look at who are my running backs afterwards because that's really strong for those 3. But how much weaker is it going to make me overall? I like selling high on J-Rob. Aaron Jones is probably a tough sell there, especially if you're only starting 2 running backs. So how are you going to replace the running back production is where you're going to have your answer there. I probably make that move. The next one is...
Should I trade Mike Evans, Jacobs, and Ayuk for Kamara and Garrett Wilson?
Dynasty?
Assuming redraft.
Redraft?
See ya. So for should I trade Mike Evans, Jacobs, and Ayuk for Kamara and Garrett Wilson? I would probably try to get a better wide receiver. But if you can, I love the buy high or buy low on Kamara right now. I think that his target share is there. His opportunity is 100% there. I mean, his snap share, is the best on the team. So I would definitely look to buying low on Kamara right now. And Garrett Wilson's value is a little high right now. So you may want to get a different piece with them changing up quarterbacks. We'll see what the Wilson to Wilson kind of connection is. Let's see. Yes. AJ Brown and Chris Olave and Dameon Pierce and Jeff Wilson. Okay. So you would be trading. Let's get JT back in here.
Yo.
So Evans, Jacobs, and Ayuk for Kamara and Garrett Wilson. He has AJ Brown and Chris Olave and Dameon Pierce and Jeff Wilson.
So he'd be
2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 flex.
Okay.
Honestly, I would try to sell high on Chris Olave and grab Alvin Kamara
I like.
Because Chris,
I'm keeping Olave. I like that. I don't think MT and Jarvis are going to make it through the year. He got an incredible target share. I think there's still meat on the bone there. I don't think Jameis is going to finish the season. He's got 4 fucking fractures in his back. So if they go to Andy Dalton, I feel like that's going to be targets for Kamara. So the biggest issue with this is Evans, and trading Evans there is probably tough. But I think Garrett Wilson can give you 80% of what Evans gives. So essentially, would I trade Josh Jacobs and Brandon Ayuk for Alvin Kamara? Yes. So I'd probably make that movement.
You aren't worried about the quarterback change in New York, and
if Zach Wilson can't fucking hit Garrett Wilson, Joe Flacco will be the starter by the end of the year.
All right. Let's see.
Aaron Jones and Allen Robinson.
And Robinson
for
AJ Brown and Adams.
Smash, yeah. I think Skoranic's been better than Allen Robinson so far, and this is someone who is pretty high on Allen Robinson. There's nothing that Robinson's done that makes me feel like there's going to be some kind of change moving forward. I think he's going to give maybe 3 to 4 wide receiver, high-end wide receiver 2 weeks on the year, and that's not good. That's not where you drafted him for.
Would you trade Swift and Lockett for Kamara and Pittman?
Jesus. Lockett's looked great the last 2 weeks, albeit he had 2+ opponents. Swift is probably going to be out for, we can estimate at minimum the next 2 weeks, this week and next. And Pittman has an amazing target share moving forward in a fairly weak division. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it'll come down to, so like if I could wait it out and I have good depth and I can manage the Swift loss for the next couple of weeks, like say if I have Jamal Williams, I probably hold the Swift side. But if I need wins now and I need to win, I'll take Kamara and Pittman.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see. So first off, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Keep these questions coming. This is Trade Bait 101, baby. Let's get y'all into the win column if you're not, and get on to the next topic. And I mean, basically, look at that. You were meant to be here because the next topic was buying Kamara. And so I think we went over that a little bit. But it's a little trickier. What do we think about in Dynasty?
I mean, he's probably a late 1 right now. I don't go overboard to buy older running backs. I'm not someone who's like, oh, they're 20. I'm not Leonardo DiCaprio here. You know, once you hit 25, I'm tossing you in the trash.
Hey, forget about it.
But Kamara's, you're only buying him if you're a contender. If you're 3-0 right now and say you have Josh Jacobs in your running back slot, then you're looking to make that kind of movement. If you're there with Miles Sanders in your flex or running back spot, those are the types of scenarios that you're looking to buy Kamara. The production hasn't been there so far, but the guy, if he plays a full slate, he's almost guaranteed 80 catches out of the position. And that was even with Taysom Hill for, 30% of a season. So you just got to trust the process there with Kamara and fall back on historical norms. And you got to hope for Andy Dalton. And I think Andy Dalton will be starting some games for the Saints at some point this year. That's not because Jameis did bad. I just don't think he's going to make it. He's got 4 fractures in his back. Yeah.
Ow.
It's not good.
So moving right along to another NFC team, will Romeo Doubs live up to the hype after a breakout week this week? Or will he fall like Chase Claypool?
Another victory lap for your boy. If we listen to us religiously, you guys heard me say Romeo Doubs is the guy to own out of that Packers wide receiver corpse. I think Doubs is, you're gonna have to live with some drops. But I mean, we just watched CD Lamb on Monday night drop a bomb, but he still put up 22 PPR points. Drops happen. You can't overreact to them. That means you're getting enough targets that you are dropping them. I think Dobbs is the most explosive guy in that Packer room. And is he going to put up Devonte Adams numbers? No, but I think we could see like a Darnell Mooney year from last year. I think we can expect some kind of like production like that. 140 targets would be a lot. I don't know if we'll hit that, but I think we could see Mooney's production from last year where he had like 80 catches, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit more in the TD department because you are attached to a Hall of Fame quarterback. But I think Dobbs, I have Dobbs higher than Lazard. That may be a hot take. I don't know. I just like what I've seen.
I mean, maybe before the season, but I don't think now. I mean, Lazard is literally limping off the field after every single catch he makes.
Yeah, he doesn't look 100%.
No, he looks about like 65, and that's even pushing it.
Old Kenny Galladay looking ass.
Shit. I mean, fuck. Shit. Kenny Galladay, please help. Just catch the ball. Move the sticks, please.
He needs some milk.
So you need some milk and shit. He needs some cereal too. Fuck. Just give him the whole thing. What's up, Sean? I have Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. Do I trade Waller for Drake London or Christian Kirk?
Yes. Either or. You don't need Waller if you have Andrews. Mark Andrews is the tight end 1 right now. And I know Travis Kelce still exists. I know he's going to get 140 to 160 targets. But if Lamar continues to play this way, Mark Andrews will end the season as tight end 1. I don't think that that's particularly a hot take. That Ravens offense doesn't look like it's just running the ball into a brick wall every time, going for 100 yards a game.
And their defense is shit too. So, I mean, Mark Andrews is they're going to have to play offensive ball to win games because we've already seen what these offenses have done to the Ravens defense. They're super exploitable. It's literally like a fantasy oasis whenever you play the Ravens defense.
Wow, that's really tough between Kirk or London. I guess you want to go with Kirk, and I say that very, very, very not confidently. I love Drake London. If it's Dynasty, it's no brainer. It's Drake London, but Kirk is going to operate out of the slot. I don't think he has as much competition for targets, and he also has the better quarterback throwing the ball. So closing my eyes and going with Kirk. What are we doing with Kyle Pitts as a contender in Dynasty? Ooh. I fell victim last year to being a little reactionary with Kyle Pitts and kind of selling him. It wasn't crippling or anything, but now it's just kind of like, got to remember the kid's, he's like 22, man, and he's playing the grown man positions in the league. So I expect him to finish as a top 5 tight end the rest of the way, but I would entertain, if someone wants to pay for him as the dynasty tight end 1 and they want to pay me like that, and I'm a contender, I'm going to take the win now and I'm going to go for it. If I can, that's just what it is. It's a tight end. I think there is some merit to setting and forgetting it, but until Pitts has Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes there, he's not going to be tight end 1.
And Kyle Pitts will be scoring a touchdown in 2 weeks. Not this week, but next week, because that's when he did it last year, and that's when he'll do it this year.
Oh, I thought he was playing the Jets.
He did play the Jets last year, but in week 5, he's playing the Buccaneers, and he's just going to score. That's how it's going to go down. So let's see. We got that. What QB would you want rest of the season? Brady, Cousins, Russ, and Dak. I'm not fading Russ just yet. Let's see. I think it's going to happen where based on fantasy trends in its own, I mean, Russell Wilson will be that quarterback that produces when everyone benches him. And I just think that coming up, with the schedule of the Raiders, the Chargers, the Colts, the Jets, I mean, Jacksonville too. Like, granted, there are some good defenses in there, but I think they'll be able to get it together. New quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new head coach. I think it will improve drastically with both Courtland Sutton or Russell Wilson getting the ball to other receivers other than Courtland Sutton. That's even including Devonte Williams. Thoughts?
Look, I think Russ is going to be fine. Hackett made a Pro Bowler out of Blake Bortles. I think the adjustment period is taking longer than we've wanted, but they haven't had the easiest slate moving forward. But I think Russ will overall be fine. I do think that there's probably some differential here. It depends on if it's a 4-point passing touchdown league versus a 6-point passing touchdown league. If it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, I'm probably leaning Dak or Cousins. If it's 4-point, I think it's clearly Russ. I think Russ is head and shoulders above the 3 other guys there. If it's a 4-point, he's the only one who really runs out of those 4. Cousins is in a pass-first offense, but I think they need to start running the ball a little bit more. And Dak is, last year, that's a top 3 offense, and they're going to throw the ball. The only question with him is how long of an adjustment period is it going to be for this injury? But historically, Dak's probably my choice out of those. He's in the best offense.
All right. So 1 vote for Russ, 1 vote for Dak. Put in the comments. What do y'all think? I want to hear Brady, Cousins, Russ, or Dak. Who we got?
It depends on your team. If I can hold out for Dak, that's who I'd roll with. But if I need a guy now, I'm probably going Russ.
That's what I'm saying. Russ or Dak. Just vote Russ or Dak.
Yeah, bro.
Russ hasn't really been scrambling at all, though. That's part of the problem. But he did last week. What I saw the best, because he's trying to play by Nathaniel Hackett's game script. He's trying to adapt. He's trying to be the yes man. But he needs to just tell them to fuck off and let me play my game. And because that's what Russell Wilson does best, is he adapts and overcomes any situations. My man's like 5'8", throwing the ball behind 6'5", 300-pound dudes. He has to adapt and overcome, and that's what he's done his whole life. I'd
be shocked.
You'd be shocked
if Russ actually said "fuck." He doesn't seem like the cursing type.
Well, you never know until you're at the dinner table with him.
He's got 3+ matchups coming up. He's got the Raiders on the road. He's got the Colts at home. And then he has the Chargers on the road, which is, the Chargers on the road for the Broncos is essentially a home game because there's more Broncos fans in LA than there are Chargers fans.
There's more every fans in LA than Charger fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not the Jaguars, and then he's got the Jets and then he has the Jaguars. So going into the bye, he has 5+ matchups.
Yeah.
I think, after looking at that, I think Russ is no doubt the choice there.
Thanks. So we got a vote for Brady. Back Godwin soon. They will get it going. Mike Evans back, Godwin back soon. They'll get it going. Russ was going to curse once, but it was too dangerous. Let's ride. Fuck it. Let's ride. Let's ride. So if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. You know what it is. Fantasy is life. We are here every week, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are the Fantasy Shot Callers. And it's the week of the backup running backs. So what I mentioned before the season started that the most valuable handcuff to have in fantasy football was Khalil Herbert. And we're obviously seeing it come to fruition. And with that being said, Jonathan Taylor has a questionable tag on him as of today. Do we see him obviously that's more of a spotlight on Nyheim Hines. We have Craig Reynolds and Jamal Williams. So I've been hearing it from both sides. Who do you like more, Craig Reynolds or Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams.
Why?
He's produced way more points. He's gonna get the lion's share of the carries. I think Reynolds is a nice piece. You're probably gonna see him try to kind of fill 50% of the Swift role, but I think Swift is one of those guys where you can't really replace 100% of him with one guy. Williams has a set role, whether Swift plays or not. I think that gets expanded a little bit more, and also Williams can catch the ball. I think Jamal Williams on his own is one of the best 32 backs in the league. So I'm going to roll with that guy.
Let's see. So all right. But yeah, I obviously like the safer pick in Jamal Williams. Let's see. The kind of home run pick is going after Craig Reynolds because he's not as well known as Jamal Williams in the league. So I don't know. It's rough, but I do like your take on Jamal Williams being the better receiving back. We saw him and Aaron Jones. They were great compliment to each other in Green Bay. But let's get to these comments right quick. Thanks for the help. 10-man, 6-point TD. I got Russ right now. Dak, Brady, and Cousins on the waivers. Jesus.
Yeah, Russ is the guy there. Zas is asking whether at RB2, Dameon Pierce or Jeff Wilson. I think that's that's Dameon Pierce, 100% there. He's got the much better matchup against the Chargers. Jeff Wilson has the Rams, and he has no Trent Williams, which I think when you're going up against...
That's the biggest blow.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams' defensive front has done well against the run so far. Until they prove it without Trent Williams, I'm not interested in that. Dameon Pierce, the Chargers haven't really stopped the run. They just lost Joey Bosa. You want to roll with that. They're not going to try to get into a firefight with Davis Mills versus Justin Herbert. I expect them to pound the rock there. And I would take the upside of Garrett Wilson over Jeff Wilson if that's the choice there.
Same.
Who the hell on Pittsburgh can guard him? The only question is, can Zach Wilson get him the fucking ball?
Yeah. What's up, Riley? Jance, how we doing? How we feeling? How we living? Start Joe Mixon or Jamal Williams this week? Joe Mix hasn't been producing and playing a run defense in Miami, and Williams plays Seattle. Look, Miami has played teams that, let's see, who'd they play last week? They played the Bills, so not premier running backs. The week before, they didn't play premier running backs with the Ravens. Let's be frank here. The Dolphins linebackers aren't all what they're hyped up to be, and I don't think they're really hyped up to be anything. It's an all offensive team. There are some bright spots on the defensive side, but you got to stay. It's way too early. I wouldn't get too cute with sitting Joe Mixon for Jamal Williams. I'm still rocking with Joey Mix for this week on Thursday night.
I think you got to risk assess your team. Mixon starting the Thursday game. If I have a strong second running back and I got strong PPR candidates behind him, I'm going to roll Mixon. I'm not going to get that cute with Jamal Williams. Even though Seattle's a better matchup and all, I struggle with that. What's the more likely outcome? You don't start Mixon, he goes off. You start Williams, and he gives you like 10 points. Mixon, no injury tag. He's a must start against nearly everybody.
Yeah.
You have Saquon as his RB2. Roll Mixon, and don't sweat it. Saquon.
Oh, look at you, man! I have that same combo in like 8 of my leagues.
Cordero Patterson. What's up, Peter G? Cordero Patterson for Amari Cooper and Miles Sanders. Well, I think Amari's the best piece there. You're saying smash?
Yeah.
I just don't like Miles Sanders, and it would depend on who I'd have to drop. I'm assuming you'd have to drop someone in redraft for it. If it was Dynasty, that's a full smash, but I think Amari's the best piece there. So if you have other running backs, I think that's a fine move.
And look, I mean, the matter of fact is they're not gonna. There's only going to be so many games as the first 3 games for the Philadelphia Eagles because they are good, but like they're not going to run over every single damn team all year long. There's going to be some downtime, and Miles Sanders will come in and be able to slow down the game when they need to run the ball the most. And I wouldn't be too afraid of Kenny Gainwell or Boston Scott unless you're in the red zone. So, I mean, as much as I do like Cordell Patterson, and I think he was tremendous value at where he was being drafted this year, I think Amari Cooper and Miles Sanders are the better part of that trade, especially Amari Cooper keeps producing like this. I mean, shit, when Deshaun Watson comes back, watch out.
Bench one. What's up, Loaf? Benching Olave, Hollywood, Kirk, or Diggs? Well, you're not benching Stephon Diggs. That's wild. You'd probably bench Chris Olave out of that bunch. I don't know how you could bench Hollywood after last week, and I don't know how you could bench Christian. Well, maybe Christian Kirk.
They're playing Philly.
Slay and Bradbury. Olave's got Minnesota. It's going to come down to Olave or Kirk. I would probably start Christian Kirk over Chris Olave at this point, but I wouldn't get mad at someone who goes Olave. I just think you got to go Kirk. He's proven
start 3. Assume Montgomery doesn't play. Khalil Herbert, Eckler, Kamara, and Mixon. Damn, what? This has to be dynasty, right? There's no way you have all of those running backs in redraft.
Could be possible. Wow, that's tough. Who are the Chargers? The Chargers got Houston this week.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play Eckler. It's Eckler's week. If Eckler doesn't produce this week, then I don't have any faith in him.
I'm assuming full PPR. Wow, that's so tough. Are we really putting Herbert in this group, though? Fucking crazy, man. I think you gotta go. I think you go Herbert, Eckler, Mixon, and that's because, we haven't seen Kamara catch the ball yet. That feels weird. That feels really weird to say.
Even against a potential shootout with Minnesota?
I don't know if it's going to be a shootout. They're going over to London, and Kamara's been banged up.
That's right.
So, until Winston starts targeting him, how can you Herbert's going to get 25 carries. You can't go Kamara over Eckler, even though Eckler's hasn't been what we think. And I don't see how you could go Kamara over Mixon right now. So
yeah,
it's a nice problem to have.
It definitely is. So I'd probably sit Herbert, to be honest, and go with the 3 names.
How?
What do you mean how?
How?
Volume. And Khalil Herbert is super explosive, but I like the PPR value of and flex appeal of Kamara. Eckler will have a bounce back game that starts his season. He's going to reset his season this week against the Texans, like Khalil Herbert did last week. Should have been David Montgomery, but nevertheless. And Joe Mixon, like we just touched on, is going against a very soft Miami front. So
I'm benching Kamara there.
Okay. Well, there we go. We'll see what happens. Panic level for Eckler. Garbage time checkdowns has been the majority of his production and no red zone opportunities. I think that changes, especially because they want to win games. And they can't win games without Keenan Allen because he is the one who pushes the ball down the field. Yes, Mike Williams is huge has huge boom potential, but he's not the consistent wide receiver that you need on a team to win games. And Eckler, they have to run the offense through Eckler. It just doesn't work any other way. So I say his production picks up, and he finally comes to first round value this week.
What's up, AJ? AJ's one of the best minds in the game. Just want to give him a shout out real quick. In terms of Eckler, I'd say on the color scale, it's probably a yellow, definitely a caution flag after 3 weeks. That jumps to a red if he doesn't produce against Houston, man. And I think losing Slater, again, we just said it with Trent Williams in San Francisco, losing your all-pro left tackle is a problem. Will that lead to more dump-offs? Will that lead to more short game? We'll find out. I mean, if he doesn't do it against Houston, big issues.
Yeah.
I think they might be down Lindsley too. That could lead them to emphasize him more in the short game, but regardless, he should produce against Houston.
Mm-hmm. And if you're new and haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We are here every week, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What's up, Trey? Evening, gents. Full PPR start to Michael Thomas, A-Rob, Judy, Brees Hall, Singletary, or Boyd.
That's a lot.
Ouch.
I think MT was trending out last I checked. 1 sec.
Yeah. Michael Thomas is super touchdown dependent. A-Rob is just a garbage pile of what used to be. And, Judy just came back from an injury. So, I'd probably go Brees, and especially if we're talking bounce back game for Russ, I'd probably go Brees and Judy in this one.
I feel like Judy's like a major gamble there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a super plus matchup with the Raiders. Yeah, I think I agree. I think I'm going Judy and Hall there. Singletary did just catch 10 balls, but I think that was more. I don't think they're gonna do 60 pass attempts again. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
I roll Judy and Hall there.
Yeah, and they want to win the game. The Bills want to keep winning, so I don't think they'll go to that same game script again. You should know you're a Bills fan, right? You should know that, right?
I am a Bills fan now, recovering Jets fan.
Loser. I'm really just projecting because
Yeah. I see you're not wearing the Jets hat this week.
Yeah, because Aaron Judge, baby, he's going to break the record.
Yeah, if anyone pitches,
that's why. He's going to pull a Gary Sanchez where he steps into the intentional walk and hits a home run. Garrett Wilson, Njoku, Kamara for Evans and Pittman.
Again, this has to be redraft. If I could sustain the running back loss in Kamara, I'd make that deal.
Mm-hmm. I sold high on James Robinson and Curtis Samuel last week for Eckler and Judy. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I mean, this is the telling week. I think honestly that was a pretty overall good trade. I like Curtis Samuel going forward still. I think he's going to thrive in that offense, and especially depending on the type of league. If you're in, I'm myself in a higher running back touted league where you get more points per carry and all that jazz. So Curtis Samuel really helps me there because he does have rushing potential. So
I think
you're
that
losing.
Trade's going to pay off.
I think so too.
I wouldn't be concerned. So you lost 1 week. Let's see how J-Rob does against Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see then. I think that trade's going to work out fine.
Cousins or Wilson or Stream Lawrence?
Cousins has New Orleans. I think he has weapons that can work there. They might be playing behind a little bit. Neutral site game. Zach Wilson probably has the best matchup against Pittsburgh, and Lawrence has Philly. I'm not starting guys against Philly.
No. he has Kelsey, so he doesn't need Njoku. Okay, well, let's see.
A sell
Yeah,
high on
for
David and
that.
sell high on Njoku.
Trey also has Olave pertaining to start 2.
I would go Olave over Judy.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if MT and Landry are out, or like if they're like game time decisions, that means that they're just going to be decoys. I would roll Olave over Jerry Judy.
Yeah. Trade Swift for Jefferson.
Yeah. Swift's not playing.
Smash.
Yeah, 100%.
Jeff Wilson and Pierce. I'm assuming for let's see. Oh, for losing Kamara in that trade, he has Jeff Wilson and Pierce. That's a little rough.
I know. That's tough. I don't know if I want to send Kamara out there. I would try Wilson and Njoku for Pittman, and fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's see. Anything you wanted to talk about real quick before we wrap it up?
Fucking Jimmy G's trash.
Basura.
What we're gonna see a lot right now is overreactions, and sometimes you just gotta trust the process. I mean, is Justin Jefferson gonna put up single-digit points back-to-back times again? No. Justin Jefferson's gonna be fine. If you see anyone panicking for that kind of guy, you go out and you buy him. And if it doesn't work, then the odds just weren't in your favor. You gotta go. Mm-hmm. You gotta trust your research, trust the process, and just use your brain. Where it's like, what is Justin Jefferson going to do? He's going to finish as a wide receiver 1. You go out, you get that guy if possible. If someone is willing to take DeAndre Swift for him right now, you smash that immediately. T. Higgins had a big week. Well, let's look at Jamar Chase. Some guys you got to know where to sell high on. Like, do I think James Robinson's going to finish as RB2? No, I don't. So, I mean, I watched him get traded for Christian McCaffrey this week, which literally blew my mind.
Well, Christian McCaffrey may be down, so we'll see what happens. Or he may just be taking a piss again. Who knows?
I think he's fine. It's not anything. People are. It's Wednesday, right? This is everybody's scheduled off day. Take it easy, all right?
Take it easy, okay?
So, some teams have had easy schedules. Like, look at Brady. Brady's gonna, still put up numbers, but he's had a rough schedule to start, and he has a new O-line. Pay attention to offensive lines. That'll tell you who's gonna be in, who's gonna be out. Who do I want to roll with? So this week we got 2 left tackles done for the year. We got Trent Williams, and we got Rashawn Slater. I don't think they're done for the year, but they're out for a substantial amount of time. It takes time for teams to adjust to that. How are they going to make those adjustments? Eckler,
we shall see.
Eckler's you could probably buy Austin Eckler for pretty low. Like if someone comes along and they're like, I'll take Cordero Patterson for Austin Eckler, smash.
Mm-hmm.
Slater's done.
Trent will be back.
Hopefully. And then, also you got to pay attention to the defensive injuries. Myles Garrett, you said, is trending to play, but how effective is he really going to be? I don't know. Based on how the car looks, it looks like it was a pretty bad crash. I'd imagine he's probably going to be on a snap count. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about that as much. But I think the biggest things to monitor this week is, let's see. No one's on a bye week yet. Can I take a victory lap on DK yet? It's back-to-back double-digit weeks.
Double-digit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, just Atlanta.
I was going to say. I have him on like 75% of my teams, and he hasn't done shit until this week.
He's gonna put 20+ points on Detroit. Oh shit, he's got a CUDA. Is Okudah going to erase another guy? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And if you haven't already, check out Tackling the Tailgate on the Fantasy Football Network. We do the best of both worlds, cooking and fantasy football advice. Me and Lady Shot Caller. And that wraps up another episode thing of Fantasy Shot Callers Live. You know what it is. Fantasy is life. You know it's a vibe. Hit that like, subscribe, and tune in next week for another live. Because that is all.